The signal reached the Kryth Dominion fleet exactly 43 seconds before the first wave of warships dropped out of subspace above the ruins of Earth's outer colonies. Fleet Commander Kalen stood on the bridge of the Voss Rai, his four-fingered hand resting on the tactical console, watching the human transmission play across the main display. It was not a plea. It was not a surrender. It was a woman's face, calm and tired, framed by the wreckage of a command bunker somewhere on Mars. "This is Colonial Director Naira Osei, Free Human Compact," the woman said. Her eyes were steady, though smoke drifted behind her. "To the Kryth Dominion and whoever else is listening. We tried diplomacy for 31 years. We opened 3 trade routes. We gave you Ceres Station rent-free. We buried our dead quietly and asked only for borders you keep breaking. That chapter is over." Kalen's aide, a younger officer named Threll, made a dismissive sound. "Posturing. They have 11 warships left in this sector. We have 300. "Silence," Kalen said, not taking his eyes off the screen. Naira continued, her voice never rising. "You've spent 3 decades studying humanity's patience. You mistook it for weakness. So let me be clear about what happens next. Every ship in this fleet is being tracked. Every jump point you've used in the last 6 months has been mapped. And every soldier of the Free Human Compact has been given one order. No mercy, no negotiation, no retreat, until the Dominion either withdraws from human space entirely or ceases to exist as a fleet capable of threatening it." The feed cut to static. Kalen turned to his bridge crew. "Bring the fleet to combat readiness. Full sensor sweep. I want every." The Vosrai shuddered. Alarms screamed across the bridge. "Report." Kalen barked. "Sir, we're reading impacts. Multiple impacts, ship-wide. We're not being fired upon by anything on our sensors," the tactical officer shouted, disbelief cracking his composure. "Then what in the void is hitting us?" The answer came a heartbeat later, when the forward viewport flickered and the void outside resolved into shapes that had not existed a moment before. Stealth skin strike craft, hundreds of them, dropping their cloaking fields simultaneously as their railguns fired their second volley. 3 hours earlier, in the hollowed-out asteroid that served as the Free Human Compact's forward command post, Naira had stood before a room of exhausted officers and given the order that would end 31 years of restraint. "They think we're still the humanity that begged for a seat at their trade council," she said. "The ones who apologized for existing. That humanity died at Proxima Station when the Dominion glassed a civilian colony because we were 3 days late on a tariff payment." General Voss, the Compact's senior military commander, folded his arms. "Command Director, our fleet is a fraction of theirs, even with the stealth corvettes. I'm not asking you to win a fair fight, General. I'm asking you to make sure they never get a fair fight again." Naira pulled up the star chart, dozens of red markers blooming across it. The entire mapped patrol network of the Dominion's border fleet, gathered from 3 decades of quiet observation nobody on the other side had ever noticed. "We spent 31 years being watched. We spent 31 years watching back." She tapped the chart, and it rippled with new data: jump signatures, fuel reserve estimates, crew rotation schedules, weapons cooldown windows. "Everything. They call it the long patience," she said. "Historians will call it something else." Kalen barely had time to process the tactical red before a second alarm tone cut through the chaos. Worse than the first. "Commander, our jump drive is being jammed. Something's disrupting the subspace field around the entire formation." "That's not possible," Threll said. "No known technology can jam a fleet-wide." "They've had 31 years to develop one," Kalen said quietly. He had read the old reports. Every human innovation the Dominion had dismissed as primitive, every backward piece of technology their intelligence division had laughed off. He was no longer laughing. On the display, human strike craft wove between the Dominion capital ships with a precision that spoke of decades of simulated combat against exactly this formation, exactly these weapon signatures, exactly these blind spots in Kryth shield harmonics. This wasn't an ambush. It was an execution rehearsed 1,000 times in simulation and finally performed live. "All ships, converge formation, return fire on visual," Kalen started. "Belay that," Threll interrupted, staring at the display in horror. "Commander, they're not attacking the flagships first. They're targeting the fuel tenders, and the repair vessels. They're not trying to win the battle. They're trying to make sure we can't leave. Kalen felt something cold settle behind his ribs, an emotion his species did not have a precise word for, but which every predator across the galaxy would have recognized instantly. Fear. Naira watched the battle telemetry scroll across her console in the command asteroid, each line a small mercy she had decided, months ago, not to grant. Fuel tenders down. Repair vessels down. They're trapped, Voss reported, his voice tight with something between awe and unease. Good, Naira said. Director, with respect, we could offer terms now. Force a surrender. It would be a historic victory without more killing. Naira didn't look up from the display. General, when the Dominion burned Proxima Station, they didn't offer terms. They didn't wait for surrender. They executed 40,000 civilians in 11 minutes because a payment was late, and then they sent a formal apology 2 weeks later calling it a regrettable administrative escalation. She finally looked up, and the exhaustion in her face was old, the kind carved by 3 decades of losing slowly and calling it diplomacy. We tried peace, she said. We tried it so hard and for so long that we buried an entire generation trying to prove we deserved it. I am done proving anything to people who only understand force. Continue the operation. No terms until their fleet command structure is broken beyond recovery. Voss hesitated, then nodded and turned back to his station. It was not that he disagreed. It was that he finally understood, watching her, exactly how long she had been carrying this decision alone. Aboard the Vossrai, Kalen made the only choice left to a commander who valued the crews still alive under his authority. He opened every channel and broadcast a general ceasefire signal, fleet-wide, unauthorized by Dominion High Command. The response came not from a warship, but from a single human corvette that broke formation and drifted close enough for a tight beam channel. Naira's face appeared on his screen, not a recording this time, but live, patched through from the command asteroid. She looked at him with an expression that held no triumph, only a terrible clarity. Fleet Commander Kalen, she said, you have 3 options. Surrender your fleet's weapons systems for inspection and withdrawal under escort. Continue fighting and lose every ship in this formation within the hour. Or attempt to flee, in which case my strike craft will pursue you to whatever hole in the galaxy you try to hide in, because I have made absolutely certain that running is no longer a strategy available to you. Kalen studied her for a long moment. Behind her, he could see officers working calmly, without panic, without celebration, as if this outcome had been assumed, planned, rehearsed, and was simply now, finally, arriving on schedule. 31 years, Kalen said slowly. You endured 31 years of provocation without this. We didn't endure it, Naira said. We prepared through it. There's a difference. My people learned to build ships in the dark, plan invasions in silence, and bury our dead without asking anyone's permission to grieve. You spent 31 years thinking humanity's patience meant we had nothing else. You were wrong about the patience. And you are about to be very wrong about the nothing else. She reached toward her console. Surrender your weapons, Commander, or don't. Either way, this is the last time the Dominion decides how this war goes. Kalen looked at the tactical display, his shattered formation, his stranded ships, the quiet, terrible efficiency of a species he had never truly seen until it stopped trying to be liked. He gave the order to power down weapons. Somewhere in the wreckage of Proxima Station's memory, humanity's long patience finally closed its account.